Today is a very exciting day for the UFO community. You're probably wondering why. Well, it's because we've got UFO hearings coming out of Congress once again for the second year in a row. And this one is set to be far bigger and far greater than that of the last. And I, for one, am incredibly excited because we're about to get some info dumps from some big name people. Tim Gallaudet, however you want to pronounce it. Lou Elizondo being, two of the bigger names on the panel of 6, I believe it was. We're looking at some very exciting information, and there is a lot of information coming out as the pre-conference hype is really starting to build over on News Nation especially. So we're going to take a look at a couple of the snippets and articles to see what we can expect from today's hearings moving forward. So I think they're taking place at 11 a.m. US time. So for me, that is literally in about 2 hours time. So, things are going to really start kicking off in a couple of hours.
And Chrissy Newton, writer and podcaster for The Debrief. Good morning to you, Chrissy. Your podcast is called Rebelliously Curious with Chrissy Newton. It's space, science, UFO themed. So I got to ask you, are you geeking out about today's hearing, first and foremost?
For sure. 100%. Thank you for having me too. I'm geeking out. I think a lot of people are. If you love UFOs, this is game day.
It's game day.
For
it's
sure.
your Super Bowl. What do you think we'll really get from it? I mean, anything that blows the lid off this story?
Well, it's hard to say if it's going to blow the lid off the story. I hope it does, who's someone who loves this topic, but I'm not sure if it's going to really blow open, right? This is just kind of slow movements towards, hopefully, is what people like to call the word disclosure, if you like it or not. But what I think is really going to be interesting is that we have Michael Gold, who formerly worked for NASA. NASA's been very, very quiet about the topic for the past year since their independent research report. And it's interesting to know that Mike Gold actually worked on that report as well. So I'm really curious myself what he's going to say, because we have not heard from him. We've heard from everybody else. We've heard from every single other person that's testifying. We've heard from them from a media capacity, but we've never really heard much from Mike Gold.
Yeah, so that's an interesting conversation in and of itself. Obviously, NASA, like she said there, have been awfully quiet about the topic. Everyone seems to think that NASA's got this armory of information, and you'd expect them to, being the space program of America, one of the biggest space programs on the planet. They've got answers, right? And I have no illusions about that. But what do they see? What do they really know? And the fact that we've got someone from NASA testifying in Congress it's pretty huge. It's not just an ex-official of the Pentagon. It's not an ex-official of the government. I mean, we've got those people, and we've got rear admirals, we've got Pentagon insiders, and now we've got NASA insiders as well. This is fantastic.
And speaking of, I want to play some sound because, as Joe was just laying out, 3 of the 4 witnesses today testifying before Congress, they've shared their accounts here on News Nation, confirming their claims that UAPs exist. Let's take a quick listen to them.
You must appreciate people watching this, hearing you talking about aliens, recovered craft, recovered bodies. It sounds crazy.
Well, as I've said before, I'm not saying it doesn't sound crazy. What I'm saying is it's real.
The American public has a right to know the new nature of reality we know, and that the Defense Department and the intelligence community has realized and has evidence of. That's not fair to the American public.
It's up to journalists like you and me and these brave whistleblowers to and the public to demand that Congress act and do its job.
Yeah, so Chrissy, just listening to all these people who have come forward, there's a common denominator here, and that's that the American public deserves answers. What's it going to take for that to happen?
Need more people to come forward. We need to have less overclassification. That's a big thing, but we also have to be really mindful about national security. It's a very big deal. Former DNI, John Ratcliffe, is going to actually be working within the Trump administration, and he has been championing the topic when he formerly was in his position. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen when he comes on the scene and what he's going to say. Hopefully some overclassification mystification does die down a little bit and we start getting to the point and start unraveling this slowly, because we have to be mindful that these could be foreign adversaries and we do need to protect national security. That is probably the most important outside of finding out really what is going on.
Yeah, I know Congressman Tim Burchett called today in all these hearings, kind of peeling back the layers of an onion slowly but surely. We're eager to see and excited to see what is shared today. Chrissy Newton, thank you.
So I'm eager to see as well. And, you know, obviously, like they said, 3 out of the 4 people have already testified. But, you know, I really do think that this is going to shock not just America, but the world, okay? And, you know, there are more people talking about this than I think you even realise, as there's more information kind of flooding out at the moment about it on the build up to this.
Now I have Nick Pope, who investigated UFOs for the UK Ministry of Defence. Nick, welcome back to the show. Big hearing today. I feel like this is your Super Bowl, right? You live for these kind of moments. What are you hoping for, Nick?
Yes, absolutely, Marky. Very exciting day. Very psyched for this. I think we're going to learn a lot. I don't think we're not going to get a smoking gun here, but we are going to get information that I think will shock Congress and will shock the public, and rightly so. As Joe said, this is absolutely a defense and national security issue, and we know from the written statements that these witnesses have already submitted to Congress that they're going to talk quite openly about, quote, non-human intelligence, unquote, and an associated disinformation campaign to keep this from Congress and the public.
Mm-hmm. So you don't think we're going to learn anything that's going to just blow the lid right off this story?
I don't think so, and the reason for that, of course, is this is an open public hearing, and of course, when News Nation first covered the story of David Grush, the whistleblower who came forward last year, it was noticeable when he testified that just as you got tantalizingly close to some of the really sensitive bits, he fell back on the statement that he could only really discuss certain things in a secure, compartmented information facility, in other words, a secure room. So, but that in itself tells you that you're getting close. So watch.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Obviously, he didn't really disclose too much to the public, but behind closed doors, apparently he spilt the tea. Unfortunately, you know, being part of the public, we're not going to get loads out of this. We might get some shocking confessions here and there, but I don't think it's going to be anything to the scale of what I think it's going to be more of what we've already heard, if that makes sense. I mean, I would absolutely love to be proved wrong and, like, sit here in, like, a few hours' time and be like, whoa, like, they showed evidence, they've showed videos. I don't think they will, but will this put a little bit more pressure on the government to disclose what they have? I sure hope so.
For those no comments in particular.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, you know, 3 of the 4 witnesses who are testifying today in front of Congress. They've shared their accounts here on News Nation, confirming their claims that UAPs do in fact exist. Nick, take a quick listen, and I'll talk to you on the other side.
Obviously, we've already heard the confessions already and stuff like this. We know exactly what's coming off the back of it, but I'm intrigued to hear about what Nick Pope has got to say moving forward.
Been a common theme here, and that is that the American public deserves answers. What's it going to take for that to finally happen?
Well, I think it's going to take Congress keeping the pressure on this. But also, of course, the important thing is now with a second Trump term coming up, and with President Trump having said that he will disclose information, for example, that's been held back on the JFK files, and he was also asked about information on UAP, and so early in his second term, I think the president might join the fray, and that would really push it over the line, because then it becomes an order from the commander-in-chief to declassify and release this to the public.
Yeah, well, you stole my last question, Nick, and that was, are you getting any signals that soon to be, again, President Trump will peel back the curtain in any sort of new kind of way? Nick Pope, I know...
I mean, I'd be very intrigued to see if he does do that, Donald Trump. I mean, it's still yet to be seen. I mean, obviously, he made a lot of promises in his last campaign that he would do stuff like this, and it never came to be. But the thing is like, yes, he's the commander-in-chief, but there's still a lot of security clearances that he has to even get through for this to become a thing. And it's whether or not that's going to be a possibility. What do you guys think, though? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to jump to get the hell out of that like button if you have not already. Subscribe if you're new. Tick on my little bell to get notified whenever we upload to the channel. Until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.